Welcome to Meaningful Mornings. This past Saturday, I was facilitating a women's empowerment workshop. And the theme was from annoying to accepting. And I shared a teaching of Acharya Shankara's, which shares, Tvai, Mai, Chanya Traiko Vishnu, Vyartam Kupyasi Mayasa Hishnu. Which means, in you, in me, in all, is Vishnu. Vishnu means the one who is all. Another word for that is infinity. Vyartam, which means no meaning, purposeless, is kupyasi. Does anyone want to take a guess what kupyasi means? It means being angry. Asahishnuhu means being annoyed, impatient, frustrated. The implication of this is, you are infinite. I am infinite. Who am I being impatient with? Myself, no? Who am I being angry with? Myself. All I do to you, who am I doing that to? Myself. This teaching is about oneness. And for some of us, that is hard to orient ourselves towards. I hope, I pray, that in Meaningful Mornings, what has become clear, I may not feel a oneness with you right now, but I understand and appreciate we all are engaged in the same pursuit. The pursuit for peace. So I may not feel that oneness, but I should feel that we have one pursuit. By feeling this, what will go away? Annoyance will go away. Anger will go away. So when people ask you, what do you do in the morning? You tell them, you're in a 500 morning program on anger management. And what's lovely about this program, there's no end. In the Ramayana, which is a historical text, a teaching, wherever there is Shiva, there cannot be Kama. Shiva means egolessness. Kama means desire. And this is most clear because some of you already know this, but I'll add more clarity. Another name for Shiva is Ashutosh. Ashutosh means the one who's easily pleased. Only one who's egoless can be easily pleased, correct? The more egotistical one is, the harder it is to please them. And another name for Kama is Ananga. Ananga means the one who has no form, which means desire is that subtle that it can come in any form. Sometimes position, sometimes possession, sometimes pleasure. We have heard this before. This same teaching has been shared in the Mahabharata, particularly Bhagavad Gita. One who's engaged in dedication, that means they're following their nitya karma, not kamya karma. Nitya means regular responsibilities. That's what they're following, which means they've let go of kamya karma or selfish actions. Dedication and selfishness are antonyms. Like Shiva and Kama, Ashutosh and Ananga. Focusing on our desires, where are they and where do they come from? Our desires are hosted in the intellect. Why are my desires in this way and Sheila's desires are in that way and your desires are in another way? Because of our blueprint or vasanas. So the blueprint expresses as desires, the desires express as thoughts in the mind. This is known as vrittis. Everyone's with me? Vasana expresses as intellect, expresses as mind. And specifically, what about the mind? It is dislikes that get expressed through our body. In terms of food, in terms of comfort, in terms of being around other people. Now, this is a closed loop. Why? The more dislikes I have, the more my mind becomes like that, the more my desires become like that, the more my blueprint becomes like that, correct? See this closed loop? Everything is affecting everything. Which is why Shri Krishna has shared. Direct your senses. That's called niyamya. If you don't, your senses, meaning you, will be destroyed. And he uses the word nashana. Those are antonyms. You direct or you be destroyed. There's niyamya or there's nashana. Be careful about how you're living. Remember I shared yesterday, when the senses are engaged in grahana, that I'm carelessly using them. That leaves an impression on the mind, which engages in smarana. I want it again and again and again. Which leaves an impression in the intellect, which is chintana. So I'm always anxious about getting what I want because I was careless with how I live. I don't know why you joined Meaningful Mornings. It's so sad. But for every symptom and source, there's always a solution. Before we begin verse 42, because the seed is being planted in verse 42, I want to make sure you're ready. I've already shared how chapter 2 contains the seed for chapter 3. Karma Yoga was introduced in chapter 2. It's being expanded upon in chapter 3. I've also shared how chapter 3 contains the seeds for chapter 4 and 5. To let go of deservership, to let go of doership. Now I'm highlighting how chapter 3 also contains the seed for chapter 6. Chapter 6 is about dhyana, or contemplation. Now, here's what this is in brief. Our ego is responsible for us forgetting how to be happy. If you want a simpler phrase, ego equals extroversion. The more egotistical one is, the more they feel that they'll be happy through what's outside of them. Everyone agrees. How does the ego do this? It identifies with the equipment, like the intellect, mind, body, to create experiences which I hope will bring me that joy that I forgot. Now we know that is impossible. No experience, no equipment, no ego is the source of joy. So what is contemplation? It is a disidentification. Please burn those words together. Contemplation is a disidentification where I stop projecting that experiences, deeper than that, equipment, deeper than that, ego is going to make me happy. You all thought 15 minutes would be, a very manageable way to learn Vedanta. It's almost harder than a 1-hour discourse. No? Now we're ready for verse 42. Last 2 verses of the chapter. Indriyani paran yahuhu. Indriyebhyah paran manaha. Manasastu para buddhihi. Yo buddhih paratastu saha. Ahuhu, which means is said. Parani, superior. Indriyani. X is said to be superior to the senses. The X here means organs of output. Sorry, please pause there. Organs of input. Organs of input are superior to organs of output. Okay? So the X, the implied term here, is organs of input. Continuing with the first line, Indriyanebhyaha, these organs of input, param, what is superior to that? Manaha, or the mind. I'll summarize this. Organs of output are the least powerful. More powerful, organs of input. More powerful, the mind. Everyone resonates with that? Sri Krishna has already taught this. Dislikes are the most expressive. They are controlled by likes, and that is controlled by anger. It's like dislikes are in the output. If I dislike a certain television program, I skip over it, correct? I output it. I don't want that. If I like something, I want to input it, right? I want to hear it more. I want to touch it more. But all of this is governed by the mind. And for many, the mind's typical nature is asahishnu, a general annoyance, kupyasi, a specific anger. Shri Krishna is objectifying this to give us a plan. Deal with your dislikes. And I have tried to share many ways to do this, like giving you 5 ways to direct the senses, encouraging everyone to be dedicated to their regular responsibilities. Recently, I shared, have the devotion that Sri Krishna lives in you. The word Vishnu means the one who has entered all. That includes you. I'll give you one more tactile sentiment on how to deal with our dislikes. This is a practical quote from Swami Chinmayananda. Not to do what you feel like doing is freedom. Not to do what you feel like doing is freedom. If you can remember that, the next time you don't want to do something, which really is a dislike, but you still do it because you're directed, dedicated, devoted, what will you feel? Freedom. Last line. Manaha tu para buddhi. What is superior or more powerful than the mind? It is the buddhihi, or intellect. But that's not the end. Yaha buddhehe parataha tu saha. Which means what is more superior or powerful than the intellect is saha. Can you point to me who saha is? You. Being more defined. Output, input, mind, intellect. And now Shri Krishna has introduced saha. Saha means spirit. Whose spirit? Atma, your spirit. Whose spirit? Brahma, everyone's spirit. A great way to understand what saha means, it is presence. Presence. And so Shri Krishna is teaching us here to disidentify with output, input, mind, intellect. Because as you're letting go, what do you simultaneously have to do? Hold on. And sharing a quick thought before we complete this morning. We're all celebrating Navaratri. Navaratri means 9 nights. The fundamental way to celebrate Navaratri is shifting from awareness of to awareness. Please remember that. Please reflect on that. To shift from awareness of. I'm aware of trees. I'm aware of emotions. But that's all output, input, mind, intellect. I have to identify with awareness. That is the saha. Otherwise, Navaratri is an event. Instead of being a movement, development, enlightenment. Are you celebrating Navaratri? On Facebook, we are. Everyone has images, everyone has quotes, starting with me. Meaningful. Lots more to share. We're going to complete verse 43 tomorrow. We're going to summarize chapter 3 on Thursday. And on Vijayadashmi, we'll begin chapter 4. So 43, Sankalpa Vakya, chapter 4. From inspiration to application, your application is everything I've described right now. This is an ongoing application. Shanti, shanti, shantihi. Be safe, be sound, be serene, be happy.